See that?
Yeah. Looks good.
Okay, we're gonna do the chill music. The other stuff doesn't really flow.
I like the chill.
Are you hearing it?
Sounds like a guitar. Very nice. This podcast contains adult themes and language. The views expressed here are our own opinions and experiences. We are not medical professionals.
In this podcast, we discuss our opinions about mental health, sobriety, addiction, and our pursuit of happiness and peace. This is Sober Mind.
Oh, yeah. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Lisa, can you hear us? Lisa?
We just had it. Can you hear us, Lisa? She said 1 minute. I don't know. Thank you. Well, we just want to thank everybody for tuning in. Welcome to our show. We're still trying to get Lisa on.
Lisa, did you break it already? Okay, good morning, everyone. We're getting a little bit of a late start, but here we are, ready to rock and roll. Okay, good morning. Welcome to Sober Mind.
Good morning.
My name is
Happy
John.
Saturday. I'm Judy.
This is Sober Mind. Here we have spirited discussions about life in general and
Our sobriety journey.
Yeah, our sobriety and mental health. Man, it's
a grown
been
folk conversation.
Grown folk conversation. Lisa's joining us. She's having some
technical difficulties.
But anyway, we'll go ahead and get started. So today's topic is going to be
reclaiming your life, reclaiming your true self.
Reclaiming
after sobriety.
Your true self after sobriety.
Or actually, it'd be during sobriety, because sobriety is kind of a long-term deal.
Yeah. Yes. Sobriety is a forever term deal.
Yes.
It takes work, and that's no lie. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm going to start off. Is that all right?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So when you get sober, for me, it was one of those things where, I felt like, okay, well, my life is going to be so much better. I'm going to feel happy. I'm going to be healthy. It's going to be wonderful. It's sunshine and flowers and rainbows and all that kind of unicorns and stuff like that. Well, okay, physically, it worked really well. I was getting much healthier physically. I think I lost some weight. My skin was clearing up. I was being a little bit more cognitive, a little bit more aware. Mentally, however, was the issue, because when you're drinking and you're doing all these drugs, all this other stuff is feeding dopamine into your brain. So eventually your brain just says, okay, well, I don't need to do that anymore, so I'll just stop with the dopamine. Well, when you stop feeding dopamine into your brain, there's no happiness there for the first, I don't know, month and a half, 2 months. It was a long time that we went through where it was a struggle to just get up in the morning sometimes.
Yeah, and I think that starts to dig into a little bit of the anhedonia that we're going to discuss.
Yes. But that being said, it eventually gets better. Just to let you know, it just keep chugging through and it'll eventually get better. But that first initial, when you wake up, you're like, yeah, I'm sober. Why am I not feeling all the happy joy and sparklies? Why am I not feeling that?
Yeah. So that's what it was for me in a big way. Mine spiraled into a completely different dimension as far as not being able to experience happiness and joy. For the first week or two, I really did. But after that, I started to uproot basically a lot of the mental health stuff that I'd been pushing away for so many years. And we've talked about this a couple times, but what really caught me off guard was how much I was not experiencing joy and happiness just in the simple things. Mm-hmm. What's convoluted about this is that you can easily confuse this with many forms of depression, because it mimics all of that.
Oh yeah. Lack of interest in all the things that you used to like before.
Lack of motivation.
Not wanting to get out of bed.
Yeah, I'm glad we're having this discussion, because I think it's important for people to understand that we immediately then reach out for something that's going to make us feel better. And for me, that was seeking therapy, which didn't work at the time. Mm-hmm. And then seeing a psychiatrist to talk about medication management.
Well, for my initial one was, I knew exactly what would give me that feeling of joy. I would just go smoke some pot or go drink a beer. There it is, back again.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that was not the goal.
Yeah. You want to get into a little bit of the psychology with what happens when we don't have the dopamine release anymore? Mm-hmm. Okay. So as an addict / alcoholic, we get excitable and passionate about that next drink or that next whatever it is that we're going to be doing.
Yeah, the moment up to the drink, or the moment up to the smoking pot, or the moment up to snorting a line of whatever.
Judy just went hardcore.
You know what? You guys all know that I used to do that. So there it is.
So joking aside, those are long-term, like hard encoded ritualistic DNA strands that we start to create within ourselves. DNA strand is probably a strong one, but you know
especially since for the amount of time that we were doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, because we were doing it for years. So that ingrained habit, even muscle memory in there from doing that for so long, that's the first thing we're going to go to when we're down and out, or when we're feeling those feelings that we don't want to feel because we've suppressed them this whole time. And they come roaring to the front when you don't have any kind of substance to quiet them.
Yeah. So what did that look like in a day in the life of John and Judy? Well, it was, wake up in the morning, get past a hangover somehow, then go throughout the day. But probably around 10, 11 o'clock in the morning is where you start to consciously and subconsciously start to think about the ritual of you engaging in some sort of inebriation in the afternoon or night. So
yeah, those times.
It was the drive home from work, even, where you're just not actively thinking about it, but knowing, oh, I need to stop by the store. I need to pick up a case of beer, a couple bottles of wine.
Or by the time I get home, I'll be able to have a...
Yeah. And so just the act of doing that motion is what's getting that dopamine release. It's what's making you happy. Mm-hmm. So that's a thing that catches people off guard when they start to go through sobriety, is those moments of quiet, if you will. It's driving home.
Those anticipatory moments.
Yeah, you're driving home. You're maybe actively thinking, "Oh, I've done good with my sobriety, life as well. I'm doing good. Why am I feeling this anxiousness? What's happening?" And then you have this autopilot moment where you're maybe starting to drive on the off ramp to go to that gas station to pick, or the liquor store to pick up the beer, and you're like, what's going on?
What am I doing here? Yeah.
So I know that sounds maybe pretty basic, but those are very, very powerful emotions that take over.
Yeah, they're very powerful urges that I mean, like we said, you've been doing it for so long, and that urge pops up and you're like, okay, yeah, I know how to do this. This autopilot turns on. I know how to fix this. And you have to consciously stop yourself and sit and say, okay, that's not going to work. We need to find another avenue.
Yeah.
That's where the retraining starts, is when you come up against those walls of, why am I feeling anxious even though I'm doing really good? And I'm at that time of the day, or I'm at my work time to where I would reward myself with a drink or some pot or whatever. And I'm not getting that reward. Why am I feeling anxious about that?
Yeah. So that's what caught me off guard a lot of the times in the beginning was, what am I supposed to do now? Now that I'm
yeah.
I'm alone with my thoughts, and that's when it gets dangerous, if you will, because we're scared. We are confused about what's going on. We're a little bit caught off guard about all these new emotions that we're experiencing.
Yeah.
And then on top of it, you're cascading through life, and you're wondering why I can't stand on my back porch and drink a cup of coffee and watch the sun come up and experience true joy. It's really weird that disappears for a lot of people once they get sober, because contradictory, even when I was in a hungover state or drinking on a bender or something, I would still have moments of joy. So I don't know.
Or the fake joy.
Yeah, I don't, but we've talked about the fake joy before. I don't know what that was, because the fake joy is even better than having no joy at all. I would experience passion when I was recovering with hangovers and intoxication. So reclaiming ourselves, there's a whole bundle of stuff to unpack with that, and that is, what do you do?
Yeah.
What do you do now that you're sitting here with this whirlwind of emotions and you're just sitting there? I've heard a ton of comments on our YouTube feed about this, and that is, I've been sober 5 years. Life still fucking sucks. Life is horrible. It's like, well, you're missing a step somewhere, and I'm not talking about the 12 steps of AA. You're missing a step that involves you giving a ton of self-care and reclaiming an identity for yourself.
Yes. Finding your true self.
Yeah.
And some of that has to do with reaching out. Because at that point, when you have a trouble in those situations and you don't know where to go or how to act, reaching out is probably the first and most important step to anybody, to a family member, to AA, to whatever, to get some guidance, get some advice, get a walkthrough, get something to help to focus your brain on a path.
Yeah.
Because at that point you're just kind of floundering. You're just kind of wandering around.
Yeah. Tell your friends to watch Sober Mind. Like and subscribe.
There you go. But yeah, you're at that point, you're just floundering. So the best thing to do is to reach out.
Yeah.
Take that step, even if it's just logging on YouTube and watching a couple videos. If you're at that point to where you don't want any human contact, which some people are, they don't want human contact. They want to stay in their solitary little bubble for a little while longer.
And that's fine.
Which is totally fine. Get on YouTube and watch some videos. There's tons of videos out there for information.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, you can go down a rabbit hole, but hopefully you're smart enough to decipher the good stuff from the crappy stuff. Or
there's a thing called a library. I don't know if people are aware of that. It's a building that exists, and you can go
with books.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, that's when you need to take your first step outside for external guidance.
Yes. So, what is the foundation of anhedonia? It is essentially that. The inability to experience joy, happiness, and pleasure, and potentially motivation in the simplest things.
After things that you used to have experienced joy and pleasure in. That's the key. These are things you used to be able to enjoy and have pleasure in doing them, and now you cannot feel any joy and pleasure in doing them.
Yeah, it's really off-putting and scary, because for me, my lipness test was video gaming, which should be a no-brainer for a lot of people. And that is, we sit down and we play video games, and it feels good, and we're getting joy, and we're getting dopamine releases from that.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, once this anhedonia hits, that I got confused with depression a lot, was, man, why? What is happening? I can't go for a run and enjoy that. There was times I would go for a run and I would just be out there literally crying. I think looking back on it now, I think that was probably a good release that I was going through. But
yeah, there are going to be times when going through this journey that you're gonna be in the doldrums. You're gonna be in the depressive state. Not necessarily going to be depressed or clinically depressed, but you're going to have bad days. Everybody has bad days. The thing to remember is that it's okay to be where you're at, as long as you keep looking forward.
I know, but that's easier said than done.
Very true. Very true.
So I can share my experience, and you saw me go through a lot of this. Mm-hmm. And that was, I reached out to my doctor. I got put on some antidepressants, and then I worked with a psychiatrist to do really honed in medication management. And for me in the beginning, that seemed to work pretty well because it got rid of my huge bundle of shit that I had going on with me, and that was social anxiety disorder, panic disorder, which means you have a series of panic attacks in less than a couple weeks, depression, and borderline agoraphobia. Mm-hmm. So what I think happened...
Of course, COVID didn't help.
No, I'd take this in the spirit for which it's intended. COVID didn't matter to me about that. I didn't care about going out into society. What freaked me out was the fact that I would get anxious about just opening my front door and seeing other human beings, and that's not like me at all.
No,
I would have mental breakdowns standing in the aisle of Home Depot, and then have to call you from my truck, telling you that I'm losing my mind. It was very, very scary and very disorienting. Mm-hmm. But what I think happened was that I miscommunicated my mental dysfunction that I had going on as depression. And the psychiatrist, bless their hearts, they just immediately go, all right, we're going to throw some medication at this while you're doing talk therapy. I think the SSRIs and SNRIs really made all of that stuff worse after the initial maybe 1 month of feeling okay about stuff. Mm-hmm. The more medication we packed onto it and kept raising levels over the period of a few months made it not well, because it seemed like I was getting more anxious and more depressed and more panicky. It's because I found out later on that SSRIs, they don't mix with my brain chemistry, which it's just a whole trial and error thing. Again, we've talked about medication, and I don't ever want to turn anybody off to it because there is a place for it.
And some people really benefit from it.
They do, absolutely. But if I could do it over again, and if someone could coach me on this, what I would like to hear is someone say, John, you're gonna be okay. You drank heavily for 30 years. You fucking nuked your dopamine receptors.
Yeah.
You're not going to just be sober and then all of a sudden be back to normal within a period of weeks or months. It takes a lot of time, depending on what kind of mileage you experienced with your addiction or alcohol journey. So,
everybody's recovery is going to be different. Everybody's body makeup, everybody's chemistry is different. So the recovery is going to be different for every person.
Right. So I wish someone would have been able to tell me, and I'm sure someone would have been, but I didn't know what questions to ask. Mm-hmm. And that is, hey, you're going to go through some shitty periods here. You're going to not experience joy in simple things or pleasure, and that's okay. You can put those things on the back burner and know that within a couple months, maybe, or a year, that all of that stuff is going to slowly come back. And you're going to wake up one day, like I did, and take a big sniff of some fresh ground coffee and went, oh wow, I feel happy about that interaction I just had. Or, feeling emotions and love with and for you. Mm-hmm. It was strange in the beginning too, because I had a hard time connecting with myself and my emotions, that I don't think I did a good job at all about nurturing you and your recovery and your emotions.
Well, I mean, you have to realize we were both going through the same shit at the same time. I mean, I didn't have panic disorders. I had anxiety that was through the roof. I mean, I've never wanted to crawl in my closet and shut the door so much in my life and not have to deal with anything going on, and afraid that the world was going to come to an end. And that was it.
Yeah.
I also dealt with all of the emotions as far as the self-loathing, the shame, the guilt, the not being able to be proud of anything I did. That was heavy, very heavy, and I had to deal with years and years of my inner voice telling me that this is what's happening, this is real, which is not. None of that was real.
Keep talking. I need to grab the mouse.
But it was the feeling of the feelings that were so ingrained for so long of a period, and now have all come rushing back because I'm now sober and I'm not suppressing any of them, that I had to actually face head on. And that's the scariest thing that any person going through sobriety has to deal with, is facing all those emotions head on and dealing with them. Because it's just, we've spent so many years suppressing them because we don't want to deal with them.
Right. So what's the reclamation portion of this? What does that look like? What did that look like for you?
Well, it took a while. It took a lot of self-talk. It took a lot of, like I always say on the show, I do my best talking in the shower.
Yeah.
So it took a lot of shower dialogue to really tell myself that my brain's lying to me, which it does very easily. And I'm a worthy human being, and I'm all that stuff that happened in the past that I did when I was drunk that I'm ashamed of. There's absolutely nothing I can do about it, and I need to let go of all of that shame and all of that guilt, because it's doing nothing for me now or in the future. All it's doing is stopping my growth from here forward. So yeah, it was a lot of shower talk.
So it sounds like we will all sort of experience that reclamation period in different ways. Yours
Yes.
seem to linchpin around shame.
Yes. Shame, guilt, lack of pride in myself. Yeah. Also, one of the things that helped was meditation. The art of introspection was one of the things that helped as well. And then finding new things I enjoyed doing. Finding new avenues to bring me joy and happiness and peace in my life outside of chemicals.
What were some of those things, and how did you know that you were starting to experience joy?
Getting up early in the morning, which you can't do if you're hungover, just to let you know. It's really hard. But getting up early in the morning and having a fresh cup of coffee and watching the sunrise and being able to really, really feel that joy, that happiness of being awake at that time in the morning. I love putting puzzles together. I love cooking. I love gardening. You know, those things, just getting into those things that I really enjoy. When I got past my depression and my anhedonia and my feelings of anxiety and everything else that was piled on top, getting past those and then finally reaching out and enjoying those things that I used to enjoy, or new things in my life that I enjoy now, was my way of stepping into myself, my true self, what I really am as a person. What were yours?
How much time you got?
Well, there is a new drum set over there, so I'm feeling that's probably part of it.
Yeah, I don't. So the original question was, what makes you feel joy now? Or when did you realize?
Actually, what I want to know is, how did you get yourself out of the funk minus the medications?
Man, that is so tough to answer. And I would be frustrated if I was a listener or a viewer with this, because we want to see the solution for it. But God damn it, you know what? It's just time. Unfortunately, it really is.
Yeah.
That's, again, what I wish someone would have been able to say to me is, John, maybe not keep pushing so hard to the psychiatrist to find a proper path of medication. Maybe just back off on that. I'm not saying don't take my advice about medication. I'm saying this was my journey. A year and a half into it, I was so fucked up from medication that I was experiencing wild clinical depression and suicidal ideation, and that's not who I am. There's nothing. I worked through a lot of my PTSD from child abuse in the military and other things, so I was frustrated because I was going down this wild fucking mental rabbit hole.
I remember those times. It was brutal.
I know. Thank you for being patient with me through that. You guys, there's times I would come home from the store and just have to kneel down at the bed, and I would just cry and shake, and I couldn't breathe, and I thought I was having a heart attack. I was just panicking all the while I'm sitting there kicking myself going, I know it sounds wildly infantile, but I should just go back to fucking drinking. I was in a much better mental state. I wasn't in a better mental state, but so this is all of the healing that I was having to go through, and it sucks. It's painful. It's frustrating. It's very agonizing because you're putting in so much work to be a better person, but it feels like there's no fucking end in sight either. It's like, when do I get the good stuff that I see everybody go through from sobriety? Well, you guys, this is the reality of it. It depends. If you drank heavy for 30 years and you're 50 years old and you fucking tortured your mind and your body, then
it's going to take a while.
It's going to take a while. If you're doing meth or cocaine or heroin, that looks completely different for other people. But what I can say is that what it all looks like for all of us is time and healing.
Yeah.
So fast forward to where I got off the medication. That was a liberating journey for me. I did something that is really not advisable, especially with SSRIs and SNRIs, is that I did not taper. I quit cold turkey, and I had some crazy withdrawals. But it took about a good 3 or 4. So here I am with this, going through 3 or 4 months of withdrawals, and again,
which is another form of going sober.
Yeah, and then dealing with low-level depression and anxiety. But let me back up. The reason why I had to make that decision was that a year and a half into this medication management journey with a psychiatrist, I was more messed up than I ever was. And it's because I realized I got sober, then I got put on medication.
Yeah.
So I didn't...
You never actually went through the full...
No.
Sobriety before you went on medication.
Yeah. I didn't understand what my baseline, level of John is supposed to be.
Your true self.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that takes time and it takes patience, and that's where we would always say you got to give yourself grace.
You got to be patient with yourself.
It's easier said than done. It really is.
Yeah.
And then when we went through, I want to bring up something that we just recently experienced, and that is our hey, good morning, Marcus. Yeah, getting out of the funk is what Marcus is currently struggling with. It's tough.
That's hard.
So what we did was, I want to have a moment of confession here as well, and that is, at the time, Judy felt like we had our friends abandon us in our circle, but I'm just clarifying.
Okay.
That's my confession. Okay. I know where you're going. You're going to jump back. It's the advantage and disadvantage of known each other for several decades.
Yeah.
Because we didn't understand what we were trying to navigate. But what it was us pushing our friends away because we didn't understand how to navigate our own journey. By the way, I'm working on my not saying you knows.
You're doing good.
Okay. We met our good friends Kim and Brian the other day for dinner, and it was
liberating. It was fantastic.
It was fucking amazing. There's a couple sides to it. The first one is that, just like I did with Marcus, my friend that I've known for several decades.
Yeah.
Him and I recently reconnected, and with those friends that you put in your friend bucket, you just pick up like it was like you just saw each other yesterday.
Yeah.
It's strange but really neat.
Mm-hmm.
But meeting with Brian and Kim was the same thing, just like we picked up where we left off yesterday. But I'm impressed at how we went into that interaction without any preconceived notions. We just wanted to rekindle a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And Judy and I have been finding ourselves that we've been craving that companionship in particular, and we did for the last year especially, but we did not understand how we could navigate that relationship without being drunk.
Yeah. And I think we're at the time of our journey, our sobriety journey, to where we can start stepping out and engaging in those relationships, because we're more solid in ourself at this point. I mean, speaking for me, I'm more solid in my sobriety and my true self to be able to engage in other forms of friendship and be the true me, to offer them my true self.
Yeah.
And be a good friend, a solid friend, instead of the drunken high friend.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because when you and I talked about this before, of how do we have that relationship when we're not drinking, it sounds like it's really fucking stupid. Like, people would think, what do you mean? You just have a relationship, you don't have to drink.
Yeah, it's really, really,
that's not
complicated.
Yeah, it's complicated, because I can't believe I'm going to say this. It just sounds so simple, but if you build the relationship around that lifestyle, and that whether you're doing coke or meeting your friends to shoot heroin, that's a dismal picture, but hey, it's a reality. It's what happens. Then when you stop that side activity, then you have to think of
what else do we have in common?
What discussions would you have? And I think maybe we really overthought that, because case in point, the other night, we have a lot in common. We have a million things.
We could have kept talking if we didn't have to actually leave the restaurant because they were starting to get busy. We could have kept talking for hours.
Yeah.
Like we used to do when we were all getting drunk, but it was you're right. It was just like we haven't been apart for months and months and months. We were apart for a couple weeks and that was it.
Yeah.
But I think that's another part of being able to reclaim yourself, your true self, is to be able to engage in other relationships with other people and feel good about it.
Yeah.
To be able to do it securely and not have the insecurities that go along with it.
Yeah.
But it takes time.
It does. And
like we've this seems to be the theme throughout this
time.
This show is time. It's going to take time. to get to where you want to be.
Yeah. I gotta be transparent about this. And that is that I cannot believe that Kim and Brian were that patient with us and really saw a relationship in the future with and for us. The transparency is that, man, I got to take a deep look at myself, because I don't know if I'm that patient. I would feel like I was utterly abandoned, and I don't think I would invest any more time in that relationship, because unfortunately that's just kind of the way I am. So I gotta put that into my toolbox of stuff that I need to work on now that I'm thinking about it.
Put it under the microscope.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, well, I still had, still met up with Kim, just her and I throughout this. So it was, I think, easier for me because I still had that connection. I mean, we didn't meet up every weekend, but every 2 to 3 months we'd go out to lunch together. So
yeah, I
didn't lose complete touch with her.
Yeah, I didn't put any work, but
we were still. I'm sorry, I gotta say it. We were putting in work on ourselves.
I know.
It was something we had to do, and sometimes when you have to go through this is a huge change. It's like buying a car. It's like getting married. Getting sober is that massive of a change, and sometimes you have to cut people off for a little while until you can get your mind straight, get your life straight. It's a part of being sober.
Yeah, that's a
sober.
That's a good reminder, babe. It is, because, man, Kim made a comment in there that was making me get a little weepy eyed.
Oh.
So the comment that they made, both of them, was that, and sorry, what I'm doing here is we're having a discussion about our interaction with some close friends, but I want to put this out there because this plays into a part of the recovery process that a lot of people will go through.
Part of reclaiming your life, yeah.
And they said that they knew that we needed to find ourselves and that they had to be patient. So that is pretty massive. Okay.
Yeah, those are true friends.
Yeah, true friends. And we've got so many cool things we're getting ready to do.
Yeah, I would say that part of reclaiming my true self was being honest with myself and really looking at all of those emotions and all of those thoughts and feelings and stuff that I had inside of me, and really taking a look on where they're coming from. Where is all this stuff manifesting from? What's the root cause of all of this? And let's attack that. And then progressing and growing from there.
Yeah.
That is how I started to reclaim myself and my true self. And it's not easy, because there was some ugly stuff I didn't want to look at. Ugly stuff. I mean, stuff that I still look back at and think, oh, and just cringe at some of my previous actions.
Yeah. I'm still doing that reclaiming. I don't think it'll, again, like the majority of the sobriety journey nuggets, it's something that takes work.
Takes a lot of work.
Daily.
Yeah, because I mean, you did that thought process for years, so it's not going to change overnight.
Decades.
It takes a lot of work and a lot of focus, but like this says, I'm not going to say it's easy, but I am going to tell you it's worth it.
Yeah,
because it's definitely worth it. I've been able to release and let go of a lot of stuff that I've been holding on for years, since I was a teenager and since I was a little kid, that I've been able to let go. I have not forgotten, but I've been able to not carry it anymore. I'm not carrying that fat woman anymore.
Yeah. Dang, this gave me a lot to think about. I thought this was going to be more of a release of things, but it's given me some homework again to work on, which is good.
Introspection is always good.
Yeah.
Reevaluation. That is another thing that is a common thing as you go through your sobriety journey and your growth is constant reevaluation. I'm constantly reevaluating how I'm reacting to situations. Why am I putting expectations on something? Why am I ignoring something else? Because it's life. It's how you grow. I mean, you stop growing, you eventually die. I mean, my own personal opinion.
Yeah.
You stop learning, and well, might as well just hang it up.
Yep. Okay, so reclaiming yourself takes time.
Takes time. Takes effort.
Work. It takes you being honest with yourself.
Very honest, brutally honest with yourself. Not self-decriminating, because you did do those things. You just have to be honest with you. Say, yeah, I did that. That was not a good thing.
And then let it go.
And then say, but I'm not that person. That is not me anymore. That was in the past. I'm not going to hold on to that anymore and carry it.
Yeah. That takes work. That's a tough one.
That does. Because those initial feelings, those instant reactions are still there. Until you get to the point to where you can look at that memory or look at that action and you don't have those instant reactions. You just feel, okay, yeah, and then just move on. Till you can get to that point, it takes a little work.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's taking one piece at a time, one incident at a time, and looking at that, evaluating it, saying, yeah, I did that. I'm not proud of it, but that's not me anymore.
Yeah. So in hindsight, if we had to go through this fucking train wreck of a nightmare of getting sober again,
I would do it again.
I would do it again.
I would so do it again.
I would do a lot of things a lot differently, though.
True.
But again, there's no playbook for this. So like we said, talk to people, try to figure out your journey and a path that's going to work for you, but just know that it just varies, and try, man, easier said than done, but try not to get frustrated with the path that you're going to be given. Mm-hmm. Because believe me, it's not really a path that you can just lay out and choose. If that makes sense. You can choose to get sober. You can say, I'm going to go from Drunkville to Soberville. You can make that decision, but just know that the Greyhound bus is going to take you all over different little nuggets of your mind throughout that.
Yeah.
You're going to be pleasantly surprised. You're going to be discouragingly disappointed. You're going to be shocked and confused.
There's going to be a lot of instances. Thank you. That are things you may think are not beneficial, but later on end up being beneficial. There's going to be a lot of times where you want to put that box around it and classify it, and you can't. You need to have the open mind, the seeking mind, to help move you forward and accept things that you would think normally, this is not beneficial to me. Because most of the time, once you go through the process, you're like, you know what, that really helped me. So that open seeking mind helps a lot. Being able to be open to new experiences, to be open to stuff that may hurt and that may make you cry.
Yep. And to be curious.
Yes.
Man, I didn't realize this was going to turn into a period of self-reflection, this discussion.
Well, it is reclaiming yourself. So
yeah. It's good stuff. It takes work. Thank you for being my partner through it.
And thanks for being mine.
And thanks for being patient.
We've gone through a lot. I mean, I am very grateful that we did this together, because I don't think I would have been able to do it by myself.
No, there's no way I could have done it on my own.
For those that have done it on their own, I applaud you tremendously, because it's not an easy thing to do. But definitely, if you can reach out to somebody.
Yeah. Are you saying alone as in if you're in a codependent relationship and one of you wants to get sober, or if you're just
Yes.
alone? Yeah.
If I was alone, well, okay, so I used to do a lot of meth, they call it now, and when I did it, it was crank. And I got
Babe,
myself.
I gotta clarify.
I got myself off of that by myself.
All right, I gotta clarify. It's always been meth, all over the place. Crank was a term that was developed in the 80s, specifically around Sacramento, California area.
And that's exactly where I was.
All right, it was just a biker term. Crank, get it? All right, but
anyway,
yeah.
Meth. And I was able to get myself off by myself. So I know if I was by myself, I could. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty positive I could. But to be able to stop drinking and go sober and stop smoking pot and have you there to hold my hand and we'll go do this together, it was very beneficial.
Yeah.
It was a roller coaster, but it was very beneficial.
It was. That was a strange journey in the beginning too, because I didn't realize how much of a support system we would have while also having a lack of a support system.
Yeah. Well, no, we had some people. We had my sister and my brother-in-law.
That's the support system. And that was really kind of it.
And then we had you and me.
Yeah. Then we had Brian and Kim coaching us silently from the sidelines.
Silent supporters.
Yeah.
But we reached out. We did what we recommend other people to do, is we reached out for information. We had a curious, seeking mind. We went through those ups and downs together. We took every step up that ladder, even though we couldn't see the top of the ladder. We still took every step.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it was good, but I don't think I would have been able to go sober if you were still drinking.
No, I couldn't do it in a relationship either. That'd be very strange.
That would have been difficult for me.
Yeah. Okay, what's next for us?
I hadn't thought that far. I haven't thought that far.
You know what we didn't do at the beginning of the show? Gratitude.
We did not. Do you have a gratitude?
I do. My gratitude is I want to appreciate my self-awareness.
Oh.
But I want to acknowledge...
Is this due to your shoulder surgery at all?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. My self-awareness, I have gratitude for, but I also know that my self-awareness, or the hypervigilance of it, is a blessing and a curse. So I'll talk about the curse of it real quick, and that is that I'm so self-aware that at times I feel like I'm observing myself observing. And that's not uncommon in the psychology world. So what that means is if I try sometimes, and it's getting better, but there are times, especially in the past when I was in my initial rungs of sobriety, and that is that if I would stand there and try to smell that coffee and stand on the back porch and watch the sunrise and try to get that joy, I wasn't experiencing that joy because my self-awareness is aware that I'm trying to do that. So I'm observing myself trying to do that, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
My psychiatrist acknowledged that that's a thing. But I'm getting a lot better at it, being able to be present in the moment and enjoy life without me without my inner critic criticizing me trying to observe happiness.
I wanted to go back to reclaiming your true self is being present in the moment.
Yeah. it's tough. So the other portion of that self-awareness, the blessing portion is that I'm very self-aware. I had shoulder surgery last Friday. It was wildly painful on day 2. And I knew that I was going to be battling this, but I had to have a long discussion with my surgeon about pain medication, pain management. And we have a bottle of oxycodone sitting up there, and it is really powerful stuff. And I'm so self-aware of my potential to not abuse, not necessarily become addicted, but to be in a state of non-sobriety. I think that these things concern me. So is that concern good? I don't know. Is it overreaction to stuff? I don't think so. I think it's a good self-awareness.
I think it's a very good self-awareness
But
that you're aware of that tendency.
yeah, I did have to take one on the second night, and that shouldn't be a big deal. It really shouldn't. But
for anybody else who doesn't have any kind of addiction tendencies, I don't think that would be a big deal. They would just take it until they didn't need it anymore and then stop taking it. But for someone who has addiction tendencies, it's very, very important.
yeah. So I took one. I felt less pain and I slept good. I woke up the next morning and I felt spiritually like a big old pile of dog shit. It hit me that hard, that fast.
Your soul was crushed.
It did. I could tell that this was a thing. Opiates are super fucking powerful this way. And as a reminder, my entire family died from opiate/alcohol use and abuse. So this is something I do have to be self-aware of. But I realized in my moment of despair and self-pity and woe while I was laying there now in pain again and having spiritual discomfort, I realized at that moment that if I were to take another pill, all of that negative shit would go away for the moment. And I sat there in my self-aware state and I realized that, again, this is why Big Pharma is the devil. They're well aware of this shit too. But
yeah,
I was sitting there reflecting on it like, how am I feeling? Oh, I'm not happy. I'm a borderline depressed. Am I depressed? Or do I have Anhedonia? And what do I do to get out of this? What would make me feel better? If I took another one of those pills, I played it forward in my head. I was like, man, I would feel better. I would feel really good, as a matter of fact.
Until it wore off. And at that moment, I realized that I had a discussion with myself, and I said, John, how much pain are you in? Or are you just uncomfortable? I'm just uncomfortable, John. Okay, then fucking get over it and take some Tylenol.
Take some Tylenol and move on with your day. And those are tough because, anyway.
Those are tough.
So,
I think people who are going through sobriety and they have those uncomfortable emotions, and they go through the same thing. Well, you know what would make me feel better is a beer or a drink.
Yeah, all the time.
That would make me feel better.
Okay, what's your, you got any gratitude, or are you all out?
I am completely out. I am grateful for nothing. No, I am grateful for being able to go out and experience friendships again.
Yeah.
Very grateful for that. To start living out in society again as a sober person and as a comfortable, solid, true person, and to be able to express myself as I am. This is me. Here I am. If you don't like it, well, that's your problem, not mine.
Yeah. It is really, really rejuvenating to be able to rekindle a relationship.
Yeah.
I'm a little concerned about our very first activity that you and I like bullishly planned with them. You know, most people would be like, hey, let's go see a movie, or we'll go, I don't know, kayaking or whatever.
Yeah.
We're like, we're going to do a 72-hour fast, bitches.
We're going to do a fast. Come on. They're on board for it though. So we're fasting friends.
Don't read that comment, babe. It's very trolly. Okay. All right. That's it. That's our show. That's all we got for today. I like this discussion.
Yeah. This is a good one. I feel like I was able to express myself pretty well.
Yeah.
I still say
I still say, you know. Okay. We are going to, I need to go prep a pork butt that's going to be on the smoker for 18 hours.
Yeah. So we'll have pork butt sandwiches tomorrow.
Yeah. It's going to be delicious. And I got to play some drums today, or I get to. It's really this, I do a lot of motion with the cymbals and then foot action, and my snare arm just kind of sits like this, like a T-Rex action.
It's almost the Def Leppard drummer action.
Oh, too soon. Man, sorry, Rick Allen, if you heard that. Jesus Christ, Judy.
I'm not saying he's not a good drummer.
Wow. Okay. Man, sorry, Rick Allen.
I'm not saying he's not a good drummer. He's a very good drummer.
Yeah. All right, Jacob. Throw something on the smoker this weekend. Okay. Kim says she cannot wait for the fasting, and let's not poop together for 3 days.
You guys and your poop jokes. I swear.
I know. Okay. G says he's not trolling. Let's dissect this.
Okay.
I was just put on probation, planning on relapsing on Chinese research chemicals. Nothing's going to stop me, but I just wanted to tell someone. I don't know what Chinese research chemicals are. G, please expand on that while we get ready to wrap up the show.
And I definitely advise you not to do it.
Yeah. Kim. All right. Okay, we failed again. What's next week's topic?
I don't know.
All right.
We'll come up with something. It'll be good.
It's good. It's always good. I'll get ready. I do very well with posting it by Wednesday, latest by Thursday.
I'd like to do video.
Oh, we're gonna.
If we can school one up, that would be awesome.
We're gonna. We got one on deck for it. So, research chemicals are legal, not for human consumption. Sorry. Gee, I did do not recommend. Well, hey, to each their own. Just be very careful. It's a loophole that people use to get high. I got you. Okay. Good luck on your journey. Be well.
Yeah. Be patient with yourself. Be kind to yourself. G, be kind to yourself. If that's not kind to yourself, don't do it.
Yeah. Okay. That's it. What a fantastic show. Let's wrap it up. I love you.
I love you too.
All right. Let's go do some gaming. Elden Ring. I'm back into it. Level 80. Yeah. Life is good.
Yeah. We've got a pretty good build right now.
That's right.
Kicking butt.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining the show and supporting. Michelle, thank you for showing up wildly late, but I get it. Life happens.
Thanks, sis.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.